Hi guys, so since my last vlog, few of the major teams have announced their squads, the major players being France and Portugal. France have done the unthinkable. They have left out big name players. Players from big teams like Manchester United, Arsenal, as well as Paris Saint-Germain. The main players being Rabiot, Anthony Martial and Alexander Lacazette. No one saw that coming. But Didier Deschamps, the France national coach, has a problem of plenty. The players of France or the France national team is a wide pool of talent. Innumerable players are there for as options, and young players keep on coming with greater amount of talents. The likes of Mbappe, Moussa Dembele, and many others. So you can say that Didier Deschamps can leave out whoever he wants to take the players in the 23-man squad who will fit into his strategy. And you can have an example of that since the last European Championships as well. The biggest of the superstars in Franck Ribéry and Karim Benzema were left out by Didier Deschamps, and still France reached the final of the European Championships only to lose to Portugal, which was an unlucky hand for them. Big names like Antoine Griezmann, Olivier Giroud, Paul Pogba, and in defense Hugo Lloris will be at the center of this France national squad. Oh, don't forget N'Golo Kante, who will be the spine of their defense and midfield, and will also make the plays towards the wingers and help in the attack of the France national squad. Now let's move on to Portugal. Let me get the squads out of the way first. Portugal, who have a strong sense of belief in their superstars, Ronaldo being the main one. Also in defense, the likes of Pepe, Bruno Alves, and goalkeeper Rui Patricio. But others being Nani, Ede, who scored the winner in the final of the European Championships for Portugal, have been left out. These two are the big misses, with Renato Sanchez also being left out, but due to poor form. The other big names like Quaresma, both the Silva brothers, Bernardo Silva, Andres Silva, William Carvalho, and yes, also Ricardo Carvalho has been left out of the squad, but they have three strong central defenders in Funes Mori, Pepe, and Bruno Alves. The wing backs, Fabio Contrao has been left out of the squad. Also, you can say due to poor form and age also not helping him, being on the other side of 30. They have Cedric on the right side of the midfield, will be the necessary width on which Portugal will base their play. Ronaldo will likely play at the center of the attack or on the left side with Andres Silva whenever he plays at the center. Andre Gomes is another big name who gets the cut from the Portuguese national squad. All the big coaches for England, Portugal, as well as Didier Deschamps for France have left out some big name players, keeping the overall squad in mind. Now it's going to be fun to see if the others follow suit. The likes of Argentina, Belgium, who can be a big threat in the World Cup. I want to talk about Belgium in detail, but I want to do that once their squad is announced, so maybe it will be in the next vlog. So let be that as it may, they are going to be big players, and their players in Eden Hazard and Kevin De Bruyne are going to be crucial in their chances of lifting their first ever World Cup. Now moving on, some other teams have also announced their national squads. For Costa Rica and Senegal, Keylor Navas and Sadio Mane respectively headline their national squads. They are the superstars of their country, and their countries will mainly depend on them to make it through the round-robin phase. Now let's talk about Iceland. Icelanders have announced their 23-man national squad going to the FIFA World Cup 2018 in Russia. The sons of Iceland are going to have a party, and I for one am going to support them throughout the journey. They were the biggest surprises in the European Championships, especially their Viking chant. It was a great hit with France doing a rip-off of it, sadly for everyone. But anyways, these sons of Iceland, I hope they get through the initial rounds and make it through the knockout phase. because it is fun supporting them. It is fun supporting a country with an entire national population of 330,000. And these players are some really good players in the likes of Gylfi Sigurdsson and Gudmundsson and the different sons who put it all on the line for the country. They are like the warriors of the country, and if European Championships are anything to go by, these players are going to be the ones to root for amongst all the underdogs. Forget the Africans, forget the Asian national teams who are most likely going to lose in the round robin phases. The Icelanders are the ones who can actually make it through and have done it so in the European Championships as well, towards the knockout stages, and go on to be maybe even go on to the semi-finals depending on the draw they face. So we'll get into tactical analysis as well as the formation analysis of France as well as Portugal a bit later. I want to have all the teams and the squads available and announced, so I can do it one by one in a whole continuous vlog, and so I can do the matchups as well as the group discussions. So as in which team are most likely to come out of the groups, and I can only do that when all the squads have been announced. So I'll keep that for the next vlog. But I just remembered that for France, even Dimitri Payet is out of the squad, as well as Kingsley Coman. Dimitri Payet, who Didier Deschamps himself said was very likely to be in the final squad and central to his plans at Russia, received a knock in the Europa League final, a knock to his recurring injury. And if you want to know how cruel luck can be, he's out of squad entirely for the matches in Russia. Although, if you ask me, Didier Deschamps could have waited on him, and he would have been more likely. There was news that he'll most likely be available for the at least the knockout stages of the competition, but Didier Deschamps didn't want to take that risk. He wanted his team to gel well and be in a position where they can have the best chance of winning the World Cup, and that's why both Dimitri Payet and Kingsley Coman, for lack of match time, is out of the plane to Russia. Now, on a more important topic, I want to first talk about the yesterday night's FA Cup final between Manchester United and Chelsea. A final that was played on the same day as the royal wedding. That doesn't happen often, does it? But it did. And FA Cup final between Manchester United and Chelsea, being touted as a season saver for both the teams, given that they had not won any trophies the entire season. Especially for Chelsea, given that they had a pretty tepid season with no Champions League next season. They're fifth in the EPL standings. And for Manchester United, it was a pretty good season for them. It was a decent season where they reached second in the EPL standings for the first time since the retirement of Sir Alex Ferguson. May he keep recovering well, by the way. But Manchester United had some poor performances at key stages of the season. Especially, you just can't forget that home leg performance against Sevilla, a team which Manchester United could have brushed off if they had played their base game, their attacking style of play. But no, it resorted to the big match play which Mourinho usually resorts to, which is controlling the game, be it, as he likes to say, without the possession of the ball or with the possession of the ball, and go on to win it 1-0. But that didn't happen at two major points of the season. Firstly, against in the match against Sevilla, and secondly, in that godforsaken FA Cup final from yesterday night. Manchester United were preparing and playing the way they usually do. They had over 60% possession, a testament to the poor Chelsea's form this season. But Chelsea had prepared well and they were ready to play on the counter-attack. They were ready to give away possession, park the bus and work on the counter, which Manchester United handled pretty well. Manchester United followed Mourinho's plan pretty well throughout the 90 minutes. Chelsea hardly had any chances, but for that one penalty. That one penalty which decided the score 1-0 and gave Chelsea the FA Cup. Congratulations to Chelsea on winning the FA Cup. But you'd like to think that Mourinho and United shot themselves in the foot rather than Chelsea won it clearly, fair and square. And if you were honest about what you saw in those 90 minutes, you'd agree with me. Mourinho and United had possession of the ball, but I wouldn't say that Manchester United themselves were deserving of that FA Cup, given that they hardly had any shots on goal. Especially, they had no shots on goal in the first half. In the second half, they did what they usually do. When they fall behind, they wake up, and Mourinho wakes up and he lets these offensive players do their thing with the better passing, better movement, better freedom. When it's 0-0, I don't know why he doesn't do that. Manchester United players are clearly capable, and people are saying Anthony Martial should leave Manchester United right now. You know why? Not because he's not good enough for Manchester United, but let's say if he joins PSG or any other team for that matter, you would think he'd be scoring more than 20 to 25 goals a season. Not because of anything else, not because he doesn't get service in Manchester United, not because Manchester United players are not good enough to propel him to that level, only because of Mourinho's tactics. And we have seen it everywhere, be it Real Madrid, be it Inter Milan, be it Chelsea, where Mourinho has coached for many number of years. Mourinho's way is controlling the game, similar to Van Gaal, and that's one of the reasons why Manchester United kicked Van Gaal out, for not playing the Manchester United way, not being attacking enough, not being bold enough. But Mourinho has a longer leash, given his pedigree, given his desire to win, if you can call it that, and given his attitude, if you can call it that, his attitude towards football and his self-confidence makes you want to support him in a way that you normally wouldn't do that if you saw a team playing in a certain way. But Manchester United keep on doing that. They keep on supporting Mourinho, and they're going to do it, if you ask me. And they are going to do it, if you ask me, in another transfer window, in which I think they are going to throw out hundreds of millions of dollars to buy the best players. And yeah, maybe say that Mourinho deserves that bit of trust to build his own team, to build his own style, and to show that he can deliver top trophies to Manchester United. Yeah, everyone would be happy if he delivers trophies, but especially going back to the games against Sevilla and the yesterday night's game against Chelsea, if Manchester United were bold enough, if they didn't have Herrera, okay, Herrera was needed to track Hazard, but if they had let Valencia and Young especially bomb more throughout down the lines, if Pogba was not interested with Kante duties, if Sanchez, yeah, they missed Lukaku, that's for sure, a central target in the top of the line, and Rashford clearly looks out of sorts right now, given the way after every bad touch, after every bad shot, he just falls to the ground and looks to the heavens like nothing's going right for him. He definitely needs that arm around the shoulder. I hope he has a good World Cup, which will give him that much needed confidence. I don't think he's ever had a season as bad as this one, given the last 2 seasons. He was the toast of the town in the city of Manchester and at Old Trafford. But this season, Rashford at the centre of the park as a substitute for Lukaku has not stood up. And surprisingly, neither did Lingard in a final where he usually likes to shine and score a goal and win Manchester United trophies. All things considered, yeah, maybe in such a tight game you can say either team who scores deserves to win the game. And I think I have not mentioned this, but Phil Jones, man, what you doing? And Gareth Southgate, what are you doing for selecting Phil Jones instead of Chris Smalling? Yes, Chris Smalling is unorthodox. He has his critics. He has people who don't like the way he defends. But he's more consistent. Show me the stats where Chris Smalling has led to goals being considered against Manchester United. Chris Smalling defending isn't clearly not as bad. Whereas if you see Jones or Marcos Rojo, given Marcos Rojo is, I remind myself of Marcos Rojo because he does similar type of thing. Even Ashley Young, they dive into tackles where they don't need to. And when they fall behind the ball, fall behind their man, they usually go down and tackle them. And that's what led to the goal. If Hazard was left on his own to shoot in that tight angle, it's very likely that David De Gea might have been able to save it, or if he did score, credit to him. But Phil Jones went down, and thank God he didn't get the red card. But that tackle led to the only goal of the match. Yes, mistakes happen, but I've seen them happen a little bit too often with Jones. Yes, this season has been a little bit more consistent, but earlier I've seen that happen a lot with Jones. So maybe a wrong selection as well from Jose Mourinho in that FA Cup final. All things considered, Chelsea lived the FA Cup final. Their season is saved. Maybe it's not Conte's last game for Chelsea after all. Maybe it's just the last game of the season. Hope that turns out to be the case because I like to see the best managers and the best teams in the EPL. I love the EPL and entire English division. And yeah, if Luis Enrique joins the fold, it'll be great next season to watch after the World Cup. Okay, since there's less than a month left for the Football World Cup, I also want to take time to work on a new segment and bring it to you. That's the history of the World Cup and the different matchups in the previous stages and the previous years of the competition, and compare them to the current matchups and different teams going up against one another and the possibilities of different matchups. We'll definitely talk about the Brazil versus Germany matchup. You can't miss on that. I also want to talk about the Spain versus Portugal match, which is going to take place at this World Cup in the group stage, and also was the same thing when Spain won the World Cup in 2010. So that's something to look forward to. And also we're going to do some cool facts on the different players and the history of the different teams. The Pele era for Brazil, where they won 3 World Cups. Then Maradona and Hand of God for Argentina, and so on and so forth for the different big teams. The Figo era for Portugal, Baggio for Italy, and many more. We can even talk about Zidane and the golden generation of France as well as Netherlands. And we can talk about the English golden generation, but that generation didn't win anything. But still, we can talk about them and big matchups which they were a part of, and controversial decisions which led to these matchups being decided, like the Frank Lampard ghost goal which wasn't given. Also, this I want to lead up to the current Football World Cup, where VAR will be a part, and that's really important. I'm not a fan of the VAR and that's something to do with the development. It's in the development stage and it's not perfect right now, but I also feel that VAR is necessary. It takes out the horrendous decisions from the games. But the problem with VAR is a lot of different sports, including the likes of cricket, American football, and baseball, and basketball, whatever you want to call, hockey, whichever sport you want to talk about, most of them have video referral technology in some form or the other. Even tennis with the Hawkeyes and everything. Most of the sports have the assistance of video technology which helps them take out faults from the game. But football is different in that. Football is not a stop-start sport where you can use these technologies, and I want to know how VR is going to be a part of that in the longer run. Yes, people might get used to it, people might even accept it over a long period of time, but like we're seeing most of us in the FA Cup or also some other leagues, is Italian league for example, is that VAR has a problem when it comes to decision time. Sometimes, for example, for the Mata goal which wasn't given for Manchester United, VAR took quite some time. The decision it reached to was also controversial, but let's keep that aside for a moment. The moment from where the VAR starts, the video referral technique starts, the game pauses at a certain point of time, and for let's say 2 or 3 minutes, the game comes to a standstill. And football is such game. You don't know, maybe at that point of time, a certain team has a certain momentum, adrenaline rushing, certain team is chasing the game, and a lot of variables come into play. So if the game is paused, everything cools down, the momentum goes, the energy from the crowd also comes down, and it's just a nervous wait where nothing eventually happens. And that's the one drawback I have of VAR. Other than that, I totally feel it's necessary in this World Cup, and it's a great start. It's being rushed, yes. Many people are calling it being rushed, but it's necessary for the World Cup and taking out at least the horrendous decisions from the game. And after all, a lot of teams, a lot of players work really, really hard so that they can get their hands on the elusive World Cup trophy. And you don't want to see that going away because of some poor decision from the referee or something like that. So, yeah, in a way, it's really important for VAR to be at Russia World Cup in 2018, and I, for one, am looking forward to see how it affects the decisions and play in the games to come in this World Cup. So that's all from me in this vlog, and next vlog I want to keep going on about the squads, because I think Belgium and Spain and a few other squads are going to be announced on the coming Monday, that's tomorrow. I'm shooting this vlog on Sunday, so keep up with me on the time. And also, I want to talk about the history of the game, like I said in the previous matchups, and I want to do a complete analysis of the teams throughout years, and also have some cool fun facts going on with the players and the players who we're going to build up in this World Cup. The likes of Neymar, Messi, Ronaldo, even the likes of Pogba and big name players, and we're going to track them throughout the league season and build them up for the World Cup and the importance, and have some great fun in the future vlogs. If you like this vlog, like, share, subscribe, and keep waiting around for more. Thank you.